Hi, this is Rick Seymour. Thanks for joining me for this 5-minute look into what might very well be your future. Whether you're a chiropractor, a massage therapist, a physical therapist, a Zumba or yoga instructor, you're going to find that any of the healing arts can benefit by what I'm about to share with you. You see, there are so many trends that are going on in our country right now that lend themselves to growth in your business. An increased consumer demand for holistic wellness programs, the trend toward prevention and the importance of exercise, a failure of the diet companies with all of their quick fixes that rarely work for anybody, a maturing baby boomer population concerned about their health. Yep, I'm one of those. And internet technology and online commerce that can benefit the bottom line in any business. But you have to realize that according to the leading economist, Paul Zane Pilsner, the health and wellness industry will grow by 500% to over $1 trillion in just the next few years. But at the same time the whole industry grows by 500%, they expect the compensation for therapists and personal trainers to only grow by 10 to 20%. Why such a modest increase? Well, it's what I call the trainer trap. There's only so many hours in a day and so many clients you can book, and ultimately there's going to be a cap on your income. But as an example, suppose you can book 25 sessions a week, $60 per session, 10% worth of cancellations that typically occur. Well, when it's all said and done, that's about $50,000 a year. What's the only way you can grow your income? To increase the number of hours you work and the number of clients that you book. But the reality is that's not the only challenge. The clients who achieve their goals tend to leave and quit the therapy or the training or the exercise. Clients who don't get quick enough results, they tend to leave too. And so you're constantly having to replace people. And if you own the business and the facility, you have all of those challenges, plus the fact that your growth is limited to your four walls. You have overhead costs, whether you have business coming in the door or not. You've got marketing and advertising costs. And if you want to expand your business, you've got to open another location. That means more staff, more overhead, and high staff turnover, and more often than not, those people leave to compete with you. Well, how are you going to resolve some of these issues? What if there were a way you could actually improve your clients' results, which makes them more loyal to you and refer more people to you, and at the same time create another stream of income, expand beyond your four walls without having another facility, support that client retention, have the ability to travel to exotic locations on somebody else's dime, and maybe most importantly, continue earning even when those clients leave your practice. Well, how can we get there? If you look at where all the health and wellness and fitness money is right now, you're going to find the biggest pieces of the pie are health clubs, weight loss and weight management, and nutritional supplements and sports nutrition. The smallest piece is the therapists and the trainers. And most of that 500% growth they anticipate is in the arena of weight loss and nutritional supplements and sports nutrition. But what if instead of this, it could actually look like this? What if you could participate in that other piece of the pie, where you could incorporate a more comprehensive program so your clients get superb results, they become more loyal, and as a consequence, your bottom line is going to increase dramatically. That's what the Shaklee Integrated Wellness Program is all about. How to give you an opportunity to participate in the rest of that pie with healthy nutrition, with healthy weight management, weight loss, with sports nutrition, teaching people how to cleanse properly, and all the support tools you could ever imagine you would need in a business. So the Shaklee Integrated Wellness Program allows you access to the other half of that pie that typically isn't available. And the best part is, if you've got a smartphone, you can create and build and maintain this business right from your phone. That's really all you need. So with all the training and support you would ever need, it's amazing what you can accomplish. An example of that is Bulak. She's a Zumba instructor. She started in Shaklee in March of 2013, and as of June of 2015, she had created an additional stream of income of over $100,000. Luis is a personal trainer. He started in September of 2013, and as of June of 2015, he had increased his income by $70,000. Yes, it's there. Yes, it's available. Yes, anybody can access that. So I guess the question at this point is, what is your plan? Are you going to take the conventional approach where your income is limited by the number of hours, number of clients, and the four walls of your facility? Or are you going to help your clients achieve better results by incorporating a more comprehensive wellness program, which also gives you access to an unlimited income potential even after those clients leave your practice? You also have the option to create residual income that comes in even when you're not working, and generational income that you can pass down to your kids or your grandkids. So I guess the question now is, if any of this intrigued you, is it worth spending a few more minutes understanding what the products and the business model are that support this? And if so, make sure you watch part 2 of this video. Thanks for joining me. Hi, this is Rick Seymour back with you to give you an overview of the Shaklee Integrated Wellness Program. The idea that you can offer a more comprehensive wellness package to your clients and your patients can make a huge difference in how well they respond to your therapy, exercise program, or whatever else it may be. But the question you've got to ask as a wellness professional is, why would you align yourself with a Shaklee Corporation? Well, let's start with the fact that Shaklee is the #1 natural, and I emphasize natural, nutrition company in the country. You'll see why I emphasize that in just a little bit. But there really is a Shaklee difference. What Shaklee does in developing products is hugely different than other companies. First of all, we are beyond organic. Our focus has always been on purity, potency, and performance. As far as purity goes, we make sure there is nothing in the product, in the bottle, that shouldn't be there. We make sure our products are safe. We test for 350 different pesticides and herbicides and residues that can be present even in organic products. Why do I say that? Because even if the farmer follows the letter of the law, he has no control over the contaminants in the irrigation water that he uses, in air pollution that can settle on his crops. Even the vast majority of organic products today have contaminants in them. Shaklee will not settle for that. We test for over 350. In fact, the U.S. Pharmacopoeia only requires the pharmaceutical companies to test for a little over 100 different contaminants. Shaklee tests for 250 more than the U.S. Pharmacopoeia requires to make sure our products are pure and are safe. As far as potency goes, we do the clinical studies. We've got over 125 published clinical studies in peer-reviewed medical journals to assure that the products work, that they're bioavailable, that they get into your bloodstream and do what they're supposed to do. And the reality is that if it's on the label, it is in the bottle. And I'm going to show you some examples that certainly defy that approach. So the reality is Shaklee does things more, better, and different than other companies. We do over 100,000 quality control tests every year to assure all of this is as it should be. But by comparison, you have to understand there are consistent problems with the nutrition industry that plague this industry from beginning to end. Here's a great example right here. The New York State Attorney General filed cease and desist orders against GNC, Target, Walgreens, and Walmart because of the supplements they were selling did not have in them what they said they had in them, or had things in them that weren't supposed to be there. In fact, 5 out of 6 types of dietary supplement products tested were either unrecognizable or a substance other than what they claimed to be. That's 83% did not have in the bottle what it said on the label was there and the reason people were buying the product. In fact, 33% tested positive for botanical material other than what was on the label, and 45% yielded no plant DNA whatsoever. Now, don't just think it's Walgreens and GNC and Target, because the vast majority of supplements sold in this country are made by the same handful of manufacturers. They use the same kind of ingredients, the same technology, and the reality is you have no idea what you're buying. And it doesn't matter whether you're buying it in Whole Foods or Costco. Consumer Labs reported that 31% of the protein powders they tested flunked tests of quality. 31%. And according to Consumer Reports, of 58 brands of protein drinks they tested, 25% had steroid contamination, 11% for other banned substances. In other words, if an elite athlete were using these products, they'd be banned from their sport. That would never happen with a Shaklee product because we test for these things. We assure that there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. But sadly, this is typical of the industry, not the exception. The bottom line is most companies have little or no quality control versus Shaklee, who does over 100,000 quality control tests a year, 350 on just the raw materials. They also reported that EAS Myoplex Original Dark Chocolate Shake and 2 versions of Muscle Milk chocolate drinks had high levels of arsenic, cadmium, and lead. Now let me ask you, what do you suppose the recommended daily allowance for arsenic is? That would never happen in a Shaklee product. GNC C4 Extreme contained DMMA. It's a decongestant that could cause heart failure. It was banned by the FDA, and even after the ban, GNC continued to sell it. That would never happen with a Shaklee product. Olympic swimmer Jessica Hardy was banned from the sport, banned from the Olympics, because of clenbuterol contamination in Advocare Arginine Extreme. The top 7 brands of omega-3s in the country contain PCBs and or mercury. That doesn't happen with Shaklee products because we go through what's called a triple distillation process to make sure there are 0 contaminants in our products. Other companies don't do that. Again, it's not the exception, that's the rule. Shaklee detected carcinogenic fungicides in ginseng coming into the country for 2 years. 2 years worth of crops that we rejected. And yet every single crop we rejected was bought by other manufacturers and sold to the American public. But we would rather go 2 years without selling one of our top herbal products than sell something we knew did not meet our standards. There really is a Shaklee difference. How about this? These are a few of the ingredients in Centrum, one of the most tested and doctor-recommended vitamins on the market. Everything from artificial colorings to cupric sulfate used as an herbicide, fungicide, pesticide, things that are found in antifreeze and ink solvents and synthetic rosins and paint and coatings. And you say to yourself, what has that got to do with health and nutrition? The answer is nothing. It's a cheap, easy way to make a pretty tablet that holds its shape. That's it. But every single one of those things can be toxic or carcinogenic in a vitamin that people are buying to improve their health. Go figure. This one totally blew me away. This is a doctor-recommended prenatal vitamin. A young mom dropped it in a cup of water to see if it would break down and dissolve. She poured the water off and absentmindedly set the plastic cup on the counter. The next morning she got up, the vitamins had eaten a hole in the plastic cup. How much good do you suppose that prenatal vitamin is doing mom or baby? Sadly, that is common in our industry, not the exception. There really is a Shaklee difference. There's no other company that goes to the extent that Shaklee does to assure the purity, the potency, and the performance of their supplements. Nobody else does it but Shaklee. But to give you a little more credibility, to date we have 120 Olympic medals by Shaklee-powered athletes. 60 of those are gold. Our sports nutrition helps people increase their energy, their endurance, recover faster and without pain, which is a nice thing, especially for people my age. Here's a few examples that I thought are rather unusual. First of all, Gary Hall, type 1 diabetic from birth. Everybody said he'll never compete on the world stage, and yet here he is winning the gold in the 50-meter freestyle in Athens. He attributes it to Shaklee nutrition. Ken Bostic qualified for the U.S. cycling team at age 47. Most cyclists' careers are over at 32 or 33. At age 47, Kent makes the U.S. cycling team. He attributes it to Shaklee nutrition. Bill DeMong was the first American to ever win the biathlon. Got gold in Vancouver. The list goes on and on and on. Time Life a few years ago published a book called The 25 Greatest Adventures of All Time. We had nothing to do with the publication of that book, and yet 7 of those 25 were fueled by Shaklee nutrition. When people want the best, when they want to perform the best, they show up on our doorstep. The first American ascent of Everest without oxygen took Shaklee to the top of the world. The Daedalus Project, which set the world record for human-powered flight, and they didn't just set it, they tripled the existing record. Voyager was the first nonstop flight around the world. Living in a phone booth-sized cockpit, laying down for 11 days, they ate nothing but Shaklee foods and supplements for 11 days. Will Steiger's 3 record-breaking solo polar expeditions, Jacques Cousteau's Calypso and Halcyon expeditions. Amazing, amazing accomplishments. We've worked with NASA since 1993. We developed what we called AstroAid. We now call it Performance for us mere mortals, but that's what they used for the rehydration drink for all of these years. Here's Commander Mark Kelly, the last and final space shuttle mission. He's got his Shaklee Vitalizer floating in space right next to him. He and his brother Scott, both astronauts, don't go anywhere without their products. Well, next time somebody tells you Shaklee's out of this world, there's the proof. But let's get a little more scientific about this. For about 20 years, the University of California, Berkeley School of Public Health has been doing what they call the National Health and Nutrition Examination Study. They have looked at people who take no supplements and people who take multivitamins and have been comparing their health status for about 20 years. Our owner went to them and said, would you consider taking a group of Shaklee people who have used nothing but Shaklee supplements for 20 years, put them in the study, do the same blood work, the same epidemiological studies, the same dietary surveys, and compare them to the other 2 groups? They said, we'd be happy to, but just know we're going to publish the results, whether they're good or bad. Well, we knew they'd be good. And here's what fell out of that study. First of all, the average age of the people in the Shaklee group was 63. It was 58 for people taking other brands besides Shaklee, and 53 for people taking no supplements at all. So we were 10 years older than this group, 5 years older than this group. Everything else being equal, we should have had a lot more health problems just because we were significantly older. But look at these results. This is extraordinary. For diabetes, 2.9% of the Shaklee population versus 11.1, that's almost 4 times higher. And 8.5, that's 3 times higher. Heart attacks, 2.5% of the Shaklee population versus 7.6, that's triple, that's 300% higher. And 4.4, that's almost double. Right down the list, congestive heart failure, stroke, coronary heart disease, emphysema. The Shaklee group had dramatically fewer health issues than the other 2 groups. And we're not talking 5 or 10 or 15% differences. We're talking 100 and 200 and 300% differences. That is huge. It's extraordinary. In fact, most people, when they initially saw the results, couldn't believe it. The researchers couldn't believe it. They fired the first set of statisticians because they couldn't believe it. And the second set of statisticians that evaluated the data got exactly the same results. There is a Shaklee difference. But I want to point out to you something else, highlighted in yellow. For diabetes, heart attack, stroke, and coronary heart disease, people taking nothing have better health than people taking other brands of multivitamins besides Shaklee. Wow. Well, now that you know how most vitamins are made, now that you know what's in a lot of vitamins, now that you know what's not in a lot of vitamins or things that are there that shouldn't be, it's no mystery. People are buying things for their health, but in reality can actually be detrimental to your health. If you think going to Costco and saving a couple of bucks makes a lot of sense, it could cost you your health. There really is a huge Shaklee difference. One arena that Shaklee has focused because of the science and the research we've developed with elite athletes, we have discovered that there's an amino acid called leucine that allows the body to maintain its lean muscle mass while you lose weight. You see, most diet programs out there, 50% of the weight you lose is fat, but the other 50% is muscle. You do not want to lose muscle. In a 12-week clinical study with our Shaklee 180, which is designed specifically for weight management and weight loss, it turns out that people not only maintained their lean muscle mass, they actually increased it slightly during the 12 weeks, and 100% of the weight they lost was from fat. So instead of like most diets, where half of it's fat and half of it's muscle, you go off the diet, you put all the weight back on and you put it all back on as fat, it's a vicious downward spiral. With Shaklee, it's probably the last weight loss program anybody will ever have to go on. Here's an interesting study that was done by Wayne Westcott, PhD. It's a 6-month study to examine the effects of moderate exercise plus adding the Shaklee smoothies and see what happens. It was 68 middle-aged adults, and the group that was in the exercise program took 1.5 servings post-exercise compared to the group that only exercised. The same exercise program, one added the 180, one did not. The results were significant. First of all, the people taking 180 lost significantly more weight. They maintained and gained significantly more lean muscle mass and lost a lot more body fat than the exercise alone group. Yes, adding nutrition can make a huge difference in the results that people get. But here's maybe the best example we've got here locally. Linda Bennett, a friend of ours, is 75 pounds healthier. I didn't just say 75 pounds lighter, I said healthier. You see, prior to Shaklee, prior to using our weight management products, she was on 17 prescriptions a day with an $800 a month copay. Today, she is on no prescriptions and is saving that $800 a month in copay. Do you think she's happy with the results? And she's kept it off for 5 years. But I'll tell you why I get excited, not just about good basic nutrition, but especially about sports nutrition. Because I've been active my whole life and I've seen the results both before and after Shaklee. I've climbed all 54 of the 14,000-foot peaks in Colorado in the summer and in the winter. And most of the winter ones were solo because I couldn't find anybody crazy enough to go with me. I've climbed the Matterhorn twice. I have 3 first ascents in the Coast Range of British Columbia. I've ridden 79 century rides. That's a 100-mile bike ride. And I've never ridden what I call a recreational century. I get on the bike, I hammer it for 100 miles, and I get off. I don't stop at aid stations. I use the Shaklee products all the way through, and boy, what a dramatic difference. I've ridden 8 double centuries, the Courage Classic 19 times. When I was 62, I rode the Triple Bypass, which is considered one of the hardest one-day bicycle rides in the country. You go from Evergreen, Colorado to Avon. It is 120 miles. You go over Squaw Pass, Loveland Pass, Swan Mountain, and Vail Pass. It's almost 12,000 vertical feet of climbing in 120 miles. And at age 62, I finished in 9.5 hours. Most people half my age can't even finish it. But I think my biggest claim to fame is we got 4 wonderful kids, 10 grandchildren, 3 great-granddaughters, and I can still keep up with every single one of them. That's not bad for a great-grandfather. But let's talk specifically about sports nutrition for just a moment. Because for anything over 45 minutes, you've got to accomplish 2 things. Number 1, replace the fluids at the same rate you lose them so you don't get dehydrated. Number 2, replace the glycogen, which is your energy source, your primary energy source, at the same rate that you expend it. With our performance, which we also called AstroAid for the astronauts, what we find is that people are able to maintain fluid levels and glycogen levels for at least 2 hours as opposed to using water alone. It's got 67% more muscle fuel than Gatorade does. It is a phenomenal product. I used to bonk on the bike in a century ride. I did about 80 miles. That's where your body's just given up, and from that point on, it's just a mental exercise of forcing yourself to finish. But ever since the performance became available, I never bonked. I rode the last 20 miles at the same pace I rode the first 20 miles. That's extraordinary when you think about it. When you want more endurance, more energy, and perform at a higher level, this is the product to use. This is what fueled the world record flight, human-powered flight, that tripled the existing record. For recovery, you need to replace your lean muscle mass and replace those glycogen stores, and it'd be wonderful if you could do it without pain, and in fact, you can. If you fuel your body properly and regenerate properly, you can do amazing things. We did a clinical study with our Physique, which is a recovery product that you use immediately after heavy workouts and exercise. It was a group of highly trained cyclists that rode for 2 hours, and immediately after 2 hours used Physique, and then in a control group, also carbohydrates only and protein only. And the results were dramatic. The results from Physique were much higher than from a carbohydrate alone or from a protein product alone. It makes all the difference in the world, and especially as you age, you can recover faster and recover without pain. The whole no pain, no gain thing, right out the window, folks. You don't have to deal with that stuff. How about if you need more energy? How many folks do you know that practically live on energy drinks? And not just for sport, but in the middle of the afternoon for the slump, or as they're on their way home from work. I know kids that suck on this stuff all day long. and they're full of artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, artificial preservatives. They're high in sugar, high in calories. How about a natural alternative? Shaklee's Energy Chew provides the same energy, the same caffeine boost that other products do for a comparable cost with no artificial anything. And not only that, they're very convenient to carry. Instead of carrying around a can, you got this nice little chew that's lemon flavored, delicious, and gets dramatic results. It will increase your energy and your focus immediately. It's a wonderful product. And when you overdo it, guess what? Occasionally, you might actually do that. Those of us that are, well, people call them baby boomers. I think today we ought to be called the geezer boomers. But the reality is, whether it's for immediate relief, chronic pain, or for painful, stiff, creaky joints and osteoarthritis, we have got some natural options for that. It astounds me how many people, and athletes especially, practically live on Advil, and the long-term side effects are not pleasant. Here's a natural alternative to that. Well, what does it all mean to you? If you incorporate nutrition into your wellness program, what is going to happen? Well, first of all, your clients will respond better to your training or your therapy. They'll get the results that they want faster. They're going to have better health. They're going to be more loyal to you and recommend others to you. And even after they've reached their fitness or wellness goals, they will continue to provide a residual income from you through their use of supplements. You see, feeling better is habit forming. And once people start using these products and see the results, they continue to do that. We've got customers we've had for 40 years would never think of using anything else because they know how different Shaklee is. But best of all, you have a client that's built in because they already care enough about their health to be coming to you. So their mindset is already in a place where they want to improve things as much as they possibly can, and you can offer them a more comprehensive plan that allows them to do that. So if you do that, how do you earn? Well, let's look at some of our basic foundational nutrition programs, from good, better to best, our turnaround kit for weight loss and weight management. Suppose you have just 2 clients that are using the turnaround kit for weight loss. And by the way, 2/3 of Americans are overweight, so that probably means 2/3 of your clients are too. I would expect that number to be higher, but let's just say it's 2. And you have 5 of your clients who are using the Life Plan, 5 of your clients who are using the Vitalizing Plan, and 5 who use the Essentials Plan. If that's all you have is 17 clients on these various nutrition programs, that's $1,300 a month in your pocket. That's pretty amazing for such little effort to make that happen. And if you teach 2 other people how to do what you're doing, you can begin to increase your income dramatically. That would be about $1,800 a month if you just show 2 people how to do what I just described. And on top of that, when you've done this, you can earn trips to exotic locations paid for by Shaklee and earn a car bonus anywhere from $225 to $600 per month. Those are pretty extraordinary benefits for such a small amount of effort. The dream trips this year are places like Playa del Carmen, Machu Picchu. There are not many people that are able to afford to do those kind of trips or even take the time off. But what if it was somebody else's nickel? I'll bet you could figure out how to get there. But when you look at what Shaklee offers people income-wise, these are average incomes for people at various levels and ranks in Shaklee. The U.S. median income is right about here, right around $50,000. That means half of all Americans earn more than that number, half earn less. Well, in the last video, I showed you Bulak, who in 16 months got to the level of key coordinator and increased her income, a second stream of income, over $100,000. That's amazing when you think about it. But there's no cap on the Shaklee income. The more people you help, the more Shaklee is going to reward you. I mean, when you look at the average incomes clear up here at the top of $600,000, that's pretty extraordinary when you think about it. Well, if any of it makes sense, the way to start is with what we call a studio pack. It's $649. It's valued at well over $1,200. It incorporates a host of products, the most common ones that you will probably be recommending to your clients, all the business tools you will ever need. It's a business in a box. It gets you started right away, gives you the options to move forward, and I would encourage you that if any of this makes sense to you, get with a person who offered you this video. Find out what you can do to change your future, because Shaklee is one of the most amazing vehicles for achieving your goals that you will ever come across. Thank you so much for joining me.